All right, so this is chapter 4. And again, so on chapter 2 and 3, I'm hoping you guys did do some sort of little reading log or a skim or whatever you needed to do. And maybe you turned it in. Did I put a spot on Google? I didn't even put a spot. So I will write that down and do that now too. A spot on Google Classroom. But to be honest with you, it's probably not going to be worth anything. So do you guys want me to post to Google Classroom, or it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. And then, so if you did them on paper, I see that. Some of you, awesome. Right, this was just brief, and it's for you as review. So anyway, then let's get straight to chapter 4, which is carbon and the molecular diversity of life. So this is a simple molecules here with this chapter, and some just cool background stuff. So cells, you guys know this, are 70 to 95% water, depending on what type of cell they are. The rest consists of mostly carbon-based compounds. But I want you to understand when we talk about what organisms are made out of, I don't want water. What do I want? Organisms are made out of what? Well, what's the other thing? What's it say that's up there besides water? Carbon molecules. And this is abstract and difficult for us because you've been told you're full of water. You see, if you cut yourself, you see blood, which is mostly water. But that's this analogy like to this building. This building's not made out of air, even though it's full of air. You guys follow me on that? Right? And it is also made out of a lot of carbon. Right? Even some of our synthetic molecules are made out of carbon. Not a lot. Not all, a lot, but not all of it. Like wood, for example, definitely is. Okay? So I want to point that out. So carbon is unparalleled in its ability to form large, complex, and diverse molecules. And there's really one reason that's true. Does anybody know what that is? Why can carbon make such a variety of molecules? What? Yeah, it gets to make 4 bonds, right? 4 bonds. So that just gives it the ability, it could bond to 4 different things there, right? And be totally different. Or it does also make these chains or rings of carbon. Again, then, if a carbon's bond to a carbon, now we have 6 possibilities of attachment. Okay, then I want to make sure you guys understand here is proteins, DNA, carbohydrates, and lipids is not right there, but it also says other molecules that distinguish living matter are all carbon compounds. That's that skeleton of our molecules, is that carbon skeleton. So organic chemistry simply means the chemistry of what? Carbon molecules. Okay, that's what organic chemistry is. And if you think back to your chemistry class, maybe it was talked about you're doing non-organics or you're doing organics. That's how you split the chemical cabinet even in the chem lab. Now, the other thing I want you to realize that 2 carbon, most of the time it's what? What attaches to carbon a lot? Hydrogen. Okay, and so then we have this experiment back from Miller's experiment trying to figure out where these organic molecules came from on Earth. And this was just repeated lately and even got to a more advanced stages of molecules with our newer technology. You guys can look that up and check that out. And we'll talk more about this much later on. But the carbon molecules, we think, like especially our amino acids, were formed when the Earth was full of lightning and rain, and had the sea was covering all of the earth, and this made this perfect little mixing pot of reactions with all that energy going on. And then the building blocks, the carbon, the hydrogen, the oxygen, the nitrogen, all those atoms that are in organic molecules in this scenario will come together, and that's where we think most of our organic molecules have come from. So think back with chemistry here, and again, those 4 carbon bonds, and these are the simplest hydrocarbons. And again, thinking about those electron shells, when we look at hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, I want you guys to get really familiar and understand those. Just review a little bit. And again, like we said, skeletons, and then look at double bonds. We can even do a triple bond. And then the ringing up, and then all the different possible shapes. Let's keep coming back to this wonderful theme of form and function. What's its structure, which allows it to do what? Okay, so I think we're good there. Hydrocarbons also can undergo reactions that release a large amount of energy. Since there's the 4 bonds, you have that sharing of the electrons. And so then every time you break a bond, you're going to release some energy. Okay, and then thinking more of the structure, because some of these formulas can be built. These atoms can be combined differently. So we can't just give a formula and know exactly what it looks like, since carbon is so versatile. So we have isomers. So these are compounds with the same molecular formula but different structures, and if they're different structures, they will have different properties, right? Different functions. So in simple ones, structural isomers have a different covalent arrangement of their atoms. Geometric ones have the same covalent arrangement, but different in spatial. I'll show you that in a second. And the enantiomers are isomers that are mirror images of each other. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, really? All right, these are straight out of your book, you guys. I just wanted to have those visuals, but I think they need to be updated. Okay, so interesting, we realized in the pharmaceutical industry that even though it's the same formula, and if it's an enantiomer and it has a different shape, then it can attach to things the same way it could. So this is, they noticed this with treatments of different, using these different molecules to, and you could get totally different effects depending on if they're shaped the right way to fit into something, like with enzymes, for example. This is pretty common. Okay, so then the functional groups. So with the amino acids, you guys noticed that you had these 20, well, some of you, depending on what station you've been to, right? We have 20 different amino acids. And they're stuck onto the exact same molecule main piece. I'll show you here in a minute. But again, now we have these 20 different little functional groups, and every time you change that amino acid with a different functional group, it's going to have a totally different shape, totally different function. And again, this is to emphasize too that there's all these varieties, all this different type of carbon molecules. So here it gives you an example here. We have 2 hormones. And look, you guys really look at it. Look how similar they are. This is a different functional group than this one, and then this alcohol one over here. But obviously very different, estrogen compared to testosterone. So the 7 functional groups that are most important in the chemistry of life are listed right there. Okay, now what about ATP? Break down the words, you guys. Adenosine triphosphate. So we have 3 phosphates. You can see them right here. Do you guys see them? These phosphates are attached to each other, making like a little antennae sticking out. And then this is just trying to represent here, this box, what adenosine looks like. Okay? And what's so cool is this is the molecule for transferring energy. So this 3rd phosphate can easily break, releasing energy when the bond breaks. And then it goes down. It's not adenosine triphosphate. It is adenosine diphosphate. And if things are really tough in the cell and they're not getting enough energy to make an ADP back to an ATP, we can even go down to adenosine monophosphate. Okay? All right, so that's it for today.